So they decided we feel we need to adopt a boy from Ukraine. They have three biological children the way my wife and I do. So they started that process. And to fast forward up until they were all set to finally get there and sign the papers, but they had a judge that, let's say, was not too happy about a Ukrainian couple that had left and wanted to adopt a Ukrainian couple, a Ukrainian child. She thought Ukrainian children should stay here. Why did you guys flee our country and go to the United States? And she just had a chip on her shoulder, and she kept delaying things and delaying things. Finally, she said, okay, we're going to do this by Zoom, the final court appearance. And then 3 days before that appearance, she said, no, I've changed my mind. I want you to be here in person. Well, they live in Pennsylvania. So they had to arrange for babysitters and, mother-in-law to come up, watch the kids, fly to Ukraine, get down to that part of the country. And once they arrived in early February, they learned that the judge had COVID. So then it's postponed more. Finally, Tom, they were supposed to have their court appearance to finalize everything on the 23rd of February, which was the day before the war was supposed to break out. That was delayed a day. So finally, the morning of the 24th, bombs are falling, literally. You can hear bombs falling in the distance around the town of Zaporizhia, where Mariana and her husband are cooling their jets, so to speak. And the court calls and says, you need to come immediately. We're doing this right now. So they zip over in their car about 90 minutes. And they get there, and the judge is very adamant and says, yes, I approve this adoption, but Maxime needs to stay here for 30 days for the waiting period. Wow. And they said, well, the war just broke out. Can you make an exception? This is an extraordinary event. Can we take our son now? No, war has nothing to do with family court. Wow. And so poor Maxime is ripped away from his new birth parents and has to not fend for himself, but because there were great people watching him. Through that, Tom, miracle after miracle. So he's in a shelter saying, oh yeah, the bombs aren't too bad, whatnot. Well, he was just trying not to freak out his parents. And basically the bombs were bad. And they were having to, run out of the shelter at times to get water because all the water had been knocked out. They're living by candlelight. Finally, he says to a friend, we need to get out. Some soldiers who had come to help them said, hey, look, kid, talking to Maxime, you need to get out of here if you can. Anybody who's able-bodied, So he decides to leave the shelter. And some good people in that area, so a Christian ministry through a gentleman named Gennady Mokhnenko, who's also featured in the book. The man is amazing. They whisk him out of there, and literally dodging small arms fire, artillery on their car, like the pinging of bullets hitting the car. They get him out of there, and they take him to an orphanage on the way west. West is towards safety of Lviv, Poland. And there's a woman there they don't know real well. She runs an orphanage, and they say, can we leave Maxime with you? And she says, oh yeah, no problem. I'll watch after him. I'll give him a bed. I'll feed him. And tomorrow I'll get him on one of the evacuation buses. So they get a call that night. And she says, I've decided I'm now his guardian, and I need $5,000 to release Max. Bombs are going off. And she's trying to extort $5,000. And so Gennady, who's there near there, hears about this, and he gets some of his people over there, and they're pounding on the gate like, lady, you can't do this. And they have friends in Kyiv. They get custody of Maxime. They take him out of this place where he had been locked for 24 hours, locked up by this woman. And they get him finally to Lviv, which is in relative safety. At this point in the war, no bombs have been dropping in Lviv. The minute the kid gets there, suddenly bombs are dropping on the outskirts. People are injured. He's having to shelter in a church warehouse nearby with a wonderful church there that's helping. Finally, after 2 weeks of literally being one step ahead of the war and, possible injury or even death, he's able to get across the border. And within 3 days, it just so happened is when I was in Poland, and I had the pleasure of being able to have lunch with the Kravchenko family and Maxim united back together in Warsaw.
Wow.
And now he's in Bucks County,
Right here in
Pennsylvania,
Pennsylvania. Yeah.
attending American high school and going out for the soccer team. And just an amazing story of hope amidst the horror, really, of what's
Right.
happening there.
Right. Wow. It's such a tremendous story, and just one of the stories from Hope for Ukraine by Kyle Duncan. Kyle, thank you so much for being with us and sharing those stories. Thank you for writing those stories.